Okay, again, for something a little bit different. So I've started doing one from the collection. And as I said, I'm gonna start doing one from the wardrobe as well, where I basically do like a clothing version of that. This is none of those, and it's also not an unboxing, but I wanted to show you guys toe box reshaping. So I've recently purchased, as you'll have seen from the video, the Kasina MX1. I have just searched through all four, so I have both pairs, so 4 shoes in total, and I think this is the worst toe box. So this is the right shoe of the grey, the particle grey, and as you can see here, get it in the middle, this shape here is just horrendous. That is, I think, like perfectly on sideways. I'm just gonna pop up in the corner here what the pair of MX1 toe should look like. There's a guy on MX1 Enthusiast who posted a before and after yesterday, I want to say it was, and that's what has inspired me to reshape mine. I said in the video when I unboxed these that I was probably going to reshape them, so here is that process. I will put a link in the video to the website that I used years and years ago when I first started learning how to do this. The dude Alex, I'm say Alex Proctor, that moved over to Australia years and years ago. I've been speaking to him online for years now. I think he was the kind of initial person to put these instructions together, and there's like a blog page on it. So I thought, why not make a quick video to kind of show what that process looks like, because I've done it on so many pairs of MX1s now, and it's kind of really served me well to get that reshaping process to work well. The only reason I was a bit hesitant with these is because the bit that I'm going to be reshaping it feels like a real suede, and part of the problem with suede is that you don't want to get it too wet, because suede can go a bit iffy. So I reached out to the guy in the MX1 Enthusiast group, and he said to me that basically just to like keep using the brush, so you want to brush the nap back in. So you'll need, you'll obviously need your MX1 or any other shoe that you're going to reshape. You need a wooden shoe tree. You want to use this, obviously the side that matches the shoe. You don't want to put a left shoe tree into a right shoe, because that will come out funky. Basically, you want it to replicate the shape of the toe as if you were in it, and you obviously don't want to be reshaping it while you have it on your foot. What I tend to use is a pair of socks. So you'll see in a second, I'll put both of these socks onto this. I don't wear these socks, they're literally just there for like on the shoe tree to make sure that works. You will need a scruffy white t-shirt or some kind of piece of material. I use white because it's less likely to bleed and ruin stuff. What you need to do is take the bottom and damp it through. You're obviously not going to be able to see for the purpose of the video, but I have wet this through and then wrung it. So what wringing it means is I'm not going to squeeze it, but you get it soaking wet and then just squeeze. And then basically now, as you can see, maybe you can't see it's wet, but you can see that it's not like pissing water out. So that's the consistency that you want. And then, pièce de résistance, you're going to need an iron. So what you need to do is set it to the cotton. So this would be like the minimum, and then if you put it over here, it's like the first non-minimum setting is the cotton one. So basically turn it on, leave it on cotton. So I'm just going to get all this crap back out the way, and I may need to cut away a few times and re-dampen the t-shirt, because the one thing you really don't want is it to get super hot and just ruin the materials. So the first thing you have to do in the preparation, unlace these puppies. I have actually purchased off of Slickies a replacement pair of laces I mentioned in the unboxing. I do not like these laces at all. They're too long, they're too wide. They're kind of like semi-waxed, so they also crease really easily. I don't know if you can like see up here, they're like just creasing. It just doesn't look clean at all. So I ordered the cream is the colorway, 120 centimeter, which is right for MX1s. The 120 centimeter in cream. Again, image up here of the purchase. So I think I took a screenshot, so I'll whack that up there. So yeah, now that the laces are off, I'll put this in. So I want it to be really kind of snug to what my toe would look like. So I am going to I'm going to double sock. Just imagine you're kind of going for a walk in the height of winter. I'm going to double sock it up for warmth. I'm double socking so that there's no bagginess, and that the shoe tree basically like touches this. This is basically the portion that we're going to iron. I want to make sure that it's touching like this. I want this shape. I don't want this like square buckiness. I want like imagine a shape that kind of like daggers out here, so that disappears. I want this to be sat in that shape inside, so that when I iron it, it takes the shape of that. Obviously, these shoe trees are designed to be the shape of a human foot, like kind of fits the purpose. So what you want is, once you've bunged it in, if you imagine here, there, if I press, I'm meeting resistance here. That is basically the shape that I want. So again, on the other side, if I press down, I'll stop obviously when I meet resistance. You actually do have to shift it around until, there you go. So that is where I meet resistance, a much better shape. So yeah, what you want to do is put it in and just make sure it's not like the shoe tree isn't off to this side or this side, that it's actually kind of like bang in the middle, and that you just really want to feel it. You don't want to have to do this twice. So really you just want to make sure you get it right the first time. So yeah, if I make sure that I pull these up a little so it's not too bulky. And what I really want to do here is to make sure that it's in the right place to get that aesthetic and get that shape that I want. So yeah, so there we go. And then what we are going to do is I'm going to set that off to the side. So yeah, so the next thing in the process is to make sure we have everything that we need just set off to the side. So we have our t-shirt, and as I said, I'm gonna need to like nip away a few times to just go over to my kitchen sink and re-wet this and dry it out. We also need our iron, and then I have just realized that I forgot the suede brush, so I'm gonna go and get that.
A few moments later.
So I have a cigar box, bourbon barrel aged cigars, and I keep all of my brushes in there. So this is the brush I'll use. This is the softest. This is like an outsole brush. You can see it's really hard, and then these two are kind of like halfway in the middle. So we've got that too. Okay. So we'll get the before picture. It's actually already, I might have to get a before picture from earlier on in the video. I'll take a screenshot because it's already, as you can see, started to mold into that shape that we actually want. And again, just for last final checks, just to make sure that it actually kind of fits to the shape that we want. Okay, so I'm just going to stick this to the side here. I might actually just go and wet this again and wring it. And basically every time you iron it, it is going to lose some of that wetness that you have on here. And the key is that you don't ever get it too hot on the shoe. You just really don't want it to be overly hot. So what I tend to do is I plunk this over here. So just really kind of keep this out. And then what I'll do is I'll try and just kind of keep my left hand as dry as possible, because I'm going to be pinching near the bottom here. I'm just kind of turning it over. And what I want to do is pinch that down, and without burning myself, do as much of this movement as possible. And you want to make sure when you're doing that you're not letting it get too dry. So you want to shift the t-shirt across. So, and this bit now is obviously hot, and that's why I want to shift it across. And again, I want to pinch it out here, and now I'm going to move across again. So before I was here, now I'm doing here. And it does get quite hot, so be prepared for your hands to take a bit of a battering. Again, we just shift across again. And what I'm doing is I'm using this mini swoosh as a bit of a position barometer. I can feel hot, hot. So now this again, this is cold because this hasn't been ironed yet. Keeping it in here such that none of these materials up here get wet at all, but also that this is damp and cold. Again. And the final one before we re-wet it. And you can tell when it's going to get how the shape is going to start coming out, because you can clearly start to see the shape changing almost instantly. And then, I've never done this before, but you basically just want to make sure that the nap's not going to be too difficult to get back afterwards, because as I said, water and suede are they're not boys, they're not best buds. So you just want to kind of make sure that you just keep the nap in there as we go through. So I'm just going to repeat that process a couple of times. I need to re-wet the t-shirt again. I'm probably going to insert a few moments later in here, because I'm going to need to do that 5 or 6 times. I might actually speed that up and just kind of show my working practice as I go through, but I won't bore you with kind of re-showing you what I just did another 4 or 5 times. I'll just kind of speed it up, so we'll kind of get through the rest of this a little bit faster, and this video doesn't end up being an hour long. And then yeah, welcome back. I've just done it another time. What I'm finding actually is I am getting the desired effect, but I think I'm going to take one of the socks out. As I say, I've never worked with suede this long before. In the past, I've always done it with, in likelihood, what are more synthetic Air Max 1s. So I'm going to take one of these off and do a final pass. So I'm just taking this sock off. A little bit more room to move now inside the toe box, so I can get that kind of a bit more of that desired shape that I want. So we insert that bad boy back in, and again we go back in and do what we were doing before. So just to make sure we kind of force that shape that we want. So I think here what we can do is push this. You also want to get your hand in and push that forward, and that should allow us to do a bit more of that shaping that we desire. And again, just being aware of keeping the nap. Another reason why you don't want to get it too hot is this glue can separate if it gets too hot on there. So just also bear that in mind. I mean, hopefully you can already start to see a bit more of the desired shape coming in. I'm just going to wet the t-shirt one more time. I think this third and final pass, I'm going to be a little bit more rough with it, just because I've done 2 passes and I'm about halfway to my desired shape. So again, the other thing you do need, keep a towel, and just keep drying. It's my left hand because I'm a right-hander, but if you're a left-hander, you will be drying your right hand, because you want to keep that hand as dry as possible, because it's the one that's holding the shoe, and you know, making sure that none of the materials up here that you don't want to get wet at all are getting wet. So imperative that you keep your other hand dry. So I'm just gonna like turn this over this time and actually just sit it on its side to try and get a bit more. And you don't want to do more than about 3, maybe 4 passes on each bit, because it will just get way too hot. So I'm now just gonna basically hold this in, and we're gonna and then hopefully this, so we've got 2 more, this area here, and then we'll do this area here. And you want to remember, like, your movements, you kind of want to mimic, imagine the shape you're going for, you kind of want to mimic that angle with the iron. You want to do that kind of shape, you're looking to replicate that shape with the iron. Now, in likelihood, I'm probably treating this pair a little bit more, what's the word, delicately, because, as I say, of how much the difference in the materials is really going to dictate kind of how gentle you have to be. I just really don't want to mess this pair up. So as you can see here, that's that exact side on. Yeah, that's starting to come together. There we have it. I think we're kind of there with the shape. If I just kind of push down a little bit. Yeah, I think that's the final bit I needed to do, is just push that down a little bit so I can create a little bit more space in there for there you go, there's the shape that we want. So ultimately what it was is I needed to push this way to get that. And what you do is you just keep, like, show the shape, look at the shape, go back to the drawing board and just keep doing it. And as long as you keep the towel wet, you can just keep doing this over and over. So again, a few moments later, I'm gonna do this one final time, and then it's all about just stowing them away in your sneaker walk-in or your closet, wherever you keep your shoes, and just keep them there. Do not touch them for at least 24 hours, I've found. So final pass over with that final push that I did down. So hopefully that creates the toe box shape that we need here. And remember, 3 or 4 passes with each bit. And you always want it. You do not want to be using the iron on an already hot or dried piece of t-shirt. It has to be wet or you will ruin the shoe. And trust me, I have ruined a pair of MX1s before. Not doing this, I was just more like general work on like cleaning up. And it was way before I really knew how to treat suedes, synthetic or otherwise. And I screwed that pair up completely. But you live and learn. There's generally one way to get good at things, and that's to just do it, fail, do it again, probably fail again, do it one more time, and then you're half decent at it. Okay, so 4 passes. Bob's your uncle. There we have the shape that we want. So I am gonna re-nap this as we go, as I said again, and I am going to pop these into the sneaker walk-in, just my sneaker room, just let them naturally dry. Oh, I might have messed that up a little bit. Hopefully that's fine once the nap comes back and once they dry out. Oh no, this is actually how it's supposed to look. Look, there, and then there. I just haven't wetted this bottom bit. I really think it needed it. Just making sure the nap stays in there. You can see the new shape. Much better than we had before. It actually looks better on this side. You can see the desired shape a lot more there. A little bit less so here. It still does look a little bit bulky. So just before I put them away to dry, I'm probably going to press that down a little. And there you go. So these are going to go away now. I'll insert up here the before and after. And obviously I won't record the other shoe as well, but I'm going to do that too. Over and out.